Welcome, everyone. First of all, we've got some guests here today. So we're all around the room, and I'm going to ask each of you to stand up and tell us your name, who you're associated with, and anything else you'd like to say. So let's start up here at this table. Please stand. We don't need Don to stand.
I'll be speaking in just a moment. Don Steffy, Executive Director for the Indianapolis Ballet.
Hello, I'm Julia Ashton. I am Director of Development with Indianapolis Ballet.
My name is Jeffrey Marks. I'm the Development Associate at the Indianapolis Ballet.
Jeff Borgert, I work with Gelder Investment Management. We work with Kiwanis on the investment side. And I'm here as a substitute for George Wyatt.
There's no substitute for George.
And I'm Megan French. I also work at Gelser. I work closely with Kelly. We communicate pretty regularly to help do the scholarship checks and things like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Over here. Well, let's get, Mary, you want to come up and introduce the
Sure.
Folk of Salvation Army? And we'll get them back up here in a little bit.
So, we have with us the Salvation Army representatives, Kathy and Todd, and they're going to share with us the culmination of all of the Golden Kettle, and we hope we win. We won. Did we win? Come on up and share.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Hold that till the end. All right, so to get things started, I think we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Carol is going to lead us. Please, Carol. Flags over there.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would someone from Salvation Army like to give our invocation? Thank you. Here, come on. Right into it.
We stay standing. We can.
Sorry.
Heavenly Father, just wanted to thank you for bringing everyone here today for this meeting. Also just dedicating, certainly we're very excited to be here and be a part of this organization, both the Kiwanis Club and them, and also with the Rotary Club and all the service organizations that we have in Central Indiana. And we just ask you to look upon us as we have lunch today, with the meetings that we have, the discussion, and also just guide us in all of our actions and always looking ahead. And we always know that what we're doing is to your glory. In your name, amen.
Thank you. All right, so now we've got some club announcements I'll go through. I'll move this. Okay, this is a general announcement for me. Don't forget we spring forward on our clock on Sunday. Spring is here, they say. So club reminders to the members, don't forget your personal checks for your second half of the year if you didn't pay for the full year in October. Those are very helpful and very needed to keep our club moving forward. And as you all know, another note, I plan luncheon meetings at IOZO's monthly. This month, we've moved it from the third Monday to next Monday, which is the second. It'd be Monday, March 13th, we're meeting at IOZO, Garden of Italy, on South Meridian at 11:30. Usually out of there by 1. If you would like to go and like to join us, RSVP me or let Kelly know and she can get the word to me. We'd love to have you. Next Thursday, 3/16, we have a rescheduled Zoom meeting with Jimmy Stoney. He is the author of The Founders, the story of PayPal and the entrepreneurs who shaped Silicon Valley. Please share this opportunity with colleagues and friends as this national speaker. Will be a great program. Thanks to Graham Honecker for setting this up. This is on Zoom, so there's no reason not to join. There's no lunch fee, no parking fee. So join us on Zoom. There is no meeting on Thursday, the 23rd of March, as we're back at Primo South for the 77th annual Boys High School State Basketball Finals lunch on Friday, the 24th of March. So if you haven't signed up for that, that's always an incredible event. These kids you meet and see and hear from, it's a neat program. Join us if you can. Primo's has free parking, great food, and not a lot of room. So please RSVP if you're interested by the 20th. On that date, we'll also have Bob Lovell interviewing the final 8 coaches and players, as well as our honorary Kiwanian Kyle Niedenrip serving as MC. The Pacers will be there to address the athletes, as well as IHSAA Commissioner and Kiwanian Paul Neidig. Chair Mike Halstead is looking for a few more members to select 5 nominated student athletes who will receive academic all-star scholarships early next week. So if you have an interest in that, contact Kelly or Mike directly. Let him know you can help. On March 30th, we welcome back Howard Kellerman, excuse me, I always say that wrong, from the Indianapolis Indians. He's the announcer. Always fun, exciting, and interesting stories. So he'll be here to talk about 2023 baseball season and current topics from the Indians team. On April 27th, this is out a little bit, Graham has lined up Diana B. Henriques. She was the first reporter to interview Bernie Madoff after he was sent to prison. I don't know if that was from prison or not. She is interviewed or featured in the Netflix docuseries about him. So that should be an interesting program. On another note, we awarded $27,500 in community grants to 11 organizations this year. Thanks to Laura Berry, Eric Steele, and Trina Raudebush, who have been out delivering checks as part of our foundation prize patrol. Later in the year, our grant recipients will visit us to give a recap on their programs.
Hey Roger, Steve will give a quick recap on Boys and Girls Club since he was just out there now.
Sure. Steve who?
Steve Farrow. Steve Farrow. That's funny.
Hi, Roger. How are you? I had the opportunity to deliver one of our grant checks to the Boys and Girls Club of Indianapolis and visited their location at 29th and Keystone. And just unbelievable going inside that building. You know, you would drive by the building and see Boys and Girls Club, but you go inside and you see all these kids in their uniforms for the 2 nearby schools. And then, to my surprise, being a former competitive swimmer, they have this beautiful pool. And, you know, the grant check was for their aquatics program. And they were so appreciative and so thankful that we sponsored them. And just a neat opportunity for us to help a local community there.
Great to see where this money goes, and like Steve saw firsthand where it goes and how it helps. A lot of deserving firms and groups around the city that all need our help, including the Kiwanis Club of Indianapolis. On another note, I serve as Lieutenant Governor for our Capital District of Indiana, Kiwanis, and help out with Riley Kids, which is KIDS, which stands for Kiwanis in Direct Support Efforts. Our club has been involved with Riley Children's Hospital for nearly 100 years, and we're all proud that our foundation supports them with a $15,000 grant every year. We will be inviting Riley to visit us this fall to talk about their new mental health initiative and ways that you can get involved. In the meantime, please consider donating items. They're always looking for items over there, from deodorant to candy bars for the parent comfort cart. Imagine rushing to the hospital for your child and spending endless days at Riley without basic necessities. Kiwanis steps in and provides parents with some items so they can take a few moments for self-care. And that's, Carol has done this. I think it's very rewarding to be involved with something like that, to see people that really need and want items like this. There is a flyer on your table for ways to help. Riley is one of our major groups that we like to support. So we also collect pop tabs in every meeting. There's a jar in the back. Please throw them in there if you got them. We save these and take them to Kiwanis, Indiana District Kiwanis gatherings for the Ronald McDonald House. White tabs and not cans. Aluminum is recycled based on weight, so imagine a box of tabs weighs more than a box of empty aluminum cans. That's interesting. The tabs also take up less space, so it's easier to manage. I think in the last meeting I was at, they told us how much there was in weight. Now I'm probably gonna be wrong, but it seems like it was 1.5 million pounds of tabs over the year that they collected, which is amazing to me. All right, Mary, I'll come back up.
Sure.
Introduce our group and let's learn about the kettle program.
So as you may know, I'm the current chairman of the Salvation Army Board of Directors. So I have the honor of introducing Kathy and Todd from the Salvation Army. They've coordinated the kettle campaign and our dubious rivals, the Rotary Club, those nasty Rotarians. We love them dearly. In the kettles as well as baseball. But Kathy and Todd, if you could come up and share with us the news on who actually won this year in our competition to raise the most money for the Salvation Army in our kettle campaign.
Well, first of all, thank you all for letting us come out today. But it appears that this year's winner of the Kiwanis and Rotary Club bell ringing competition goes to the Kiwanis Club. Look at that. That's a beauty right there. Thank you all so much. Real quick, we just wanted to thank you guys for your continued support over the years, your willingness to give your service and time to us. It helps the Salvation Army to continue to fulfill our mission, to continue to do the most good in our community. William Booth, the founder of the Salvation Army, once said, "You cannot warm the hearts of people with God's love if they have an empty stomach and cold feet." The money that was raised through your bell ringing efforts in Indianapolis stays in Indianapolis. So if I could, I'd like to share a few things we were able to do with that money. We were able to provide approximately $400,000 to families here in Indianapolis for financial support, things with like rent and utility assistance. We were able to provide 292,000 meals here in Indianapolis, 24,000 nights of shelter here in Indianapolis, and we were able to provide approximately 5,000 children with Christmas gifts this past Christmas here in Indianapolis. So with your help, we're able to put some food into some empty stomachs, and we were able to warm some cold feet. So thank you once again for your dedication, unwavering support each and every year And we thank you for allowing us to come today and say thank you. And thank you for the lunch, and God bless, and we look forward to working with you all again. Thank you.
Do you want to, like, present it or just do it after? Okay.
Go ahead, and if you want to present it officially into the video for filming.
You want me to?
You can read it.
Okay. So it, on this here, it just says that the Salvation Army is proud to present the certificate to Kiwanis Club, and it has the following gifts. So it's broken down by what the Red Kettle contributions were, which was almost $1,000. The virtual kettle was $750, and then other donations was $1,661. So the total was $3,375, and then it's signed by Major Rachel, who I think most of you have had a chance to meet, our Central Indiana commander. So as Todd said, we're so grateful. And Don, I know I saw you at the Rotary Club meeting, and we couldn't do this without both of you. And one of my goals for this year is to get more service organizations that will do this great competition that you have, but also benefiting our organization. But we just couldn't do it without the support of both of the organizations, and we're just really grateful. I've only been on staff since August, but I'm just amazed that this has been going on for years. And like you said, it's a friendly little rivalry, but I think it's awesome. So thank you.
Could I say one thank you about something in that regard?
No.
Of course. I'm sure Lincoln would have approved. But I want to thank Kroger for letting us come up there and do what we did with the kettle. And they have been a fantastic supporter of ours, and Kelly that helped organize this.
Thank you, Greg. And thank you, Salvation Army, for all you folks do. I can't believe we just raised $3,000. That's terrible. But I appreciate Rotary. It's a great, fun, competitive event. And the only ones that win are the people that receive funds and help from Salvation. So we're all doing the same thing. And thank you guys. Okay. Time to get to our speaker. This is Don Steffy. He has spent over 25 years working in the field of arts administration. With the combined talents of artist and administrator in multiple disciplines, he brings a unique perspective to his daily work. Prior to joining the Indianapolis Ballet, he served as executive director for the Indianapolis Children's Choir, building the profile and financial capacity of this world-renowned organization. He originally came to Indy to open and create operations for the Pike Performing Arts Center. He spent his career performing in ballet companies in the United States and Europe. He is a past president of the Rotary Club of Indianapolis. And yay. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's extra effort. And we appreciate that effort. And he co-chaired the 2014 citywide day of service, known as Indy Do Day, engaging over 18,000 volunteers from 300 businesses and community organizations. Don? Steffi, please.
Okay. Thanks, Roger. Either way.
It's got to be close.
We'll see what works. Thank you, Roger. Thank you so much. And I think the competition, you know how if you're going for something, you'll stretch that extra mile. And I think because of that healthy competition, we probably raised more money collectively than if we just would have said, hey, let's put some money on the table for the Salvation Army. So I think it's a really good thing. I'm so pleased that coming back, I spoke to this club maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago for the Indianapolis Children's Choir, and I can really feel a stronger empathy for Rotarians in the room, because when I came in last time, my pins started to burn. And right now I feel kind of healthy, so thank you everyone, including our virtual individuals. So today, Indianapolis Ballet, it's really interesting when you mentioned about my wife and I were classical dancers for almost 20 years, so this particular arts job is really like coming home. I just don't wear tights, I wear a tie now, and help support the organization. And that's what I enjoyed at the Indianapolis Children's Choir. You have to, of course, keep the lights on annually and this, but for me, I look to the future, and so the future is what can be the capacity to sustain the organization beyond. We were very fortunate. Some of you may know the founder of the Indianapolis Children's Choir, Henry Leck. And so in his 30th anniversary is when he chose to retire. And so we started, prior to his retirement, in a campaign to endow the artistic director position in his honor. Because you're always going to need an artistic director, therefore it was really a general operating campaign. And we were successful with that, and now the current artistic director, over half of his salary is generated every year by this endowment, so that's dollars that just sort of self-raise themselves. And that was a good feeling. So that's also one of my missions, personal missions with the Indianapolis Ballet. And I just want to lay down a little groundwork. So this title that I came up with is creating an organization from below the ground up. That's a whole different animal, and that's kind of what has occurred with the Indianapolis Ballet. So I'm going to give you a context of why, and then you'll kind of understand that dirt. So like a lot of businesses, they certainly can start with capital, right? Some seed money or personal investments, and maybe even pre-sale. Maybe they're able to get a product going that they can get pre-sale going. With an arts organization, especially like the ballet, our product is the dancers. But before you can hire dancers, you have to have money. So it's a little different, and a lot of organizations, arts organizations, begin with just a lot of volunteers. They roll up their sleeves. They want this to happen. Maybe they make personal investments, and then eventually you launch it. Have some donors. The business model of a nonprofit in general is a balance between earned revenue and contributed revenue. And so that was a challenge. That's part of the below the ground. That's really kind of the rub. So I just want to give you a little history about ballet in Indianapolis, because that adds to this little conundrum. And I don't know if many of you, well, let me just ask, have any of you been to the first incantation of a professional company? It was called Indianapolis Ballet Theater, and it was born out of Butler University. One of the professors there, George Verdak, he was a dancer himself back in the 30s and 40s. So he launched this with a group of actually mostly graduating Butler students. And so they formed Indianapolis Ballet Theater. Eventually they moved off campus. They were then housed at the Athenaeum and were there for a number of years. And then they actually moved to the home of where we're at. So corner of Capitol in Michigan as a second floor. It's been a ballet home since the early 90s. And 3 companies have been in there now. And so Indianapolis Ballet Theater was in there for just a long, long time. A new artistic director came, and they same company in a way, they changed the model and they changed the name to Ballet International. And they had a lot of international dancers, and that's kind of was their focus. However, you may or may not know, in 2005, so it's been a lot of history gone by since 2005. A lot of people remember 2005 when, without details, the organization really fell into some financial difficulties. And if you can imagine all these wonderful professional dancers, there was also a school of ballet. In one day, when law enforcement shows up and escorts everyone out of the building. Law enforcement's waiting for all these hundreds of children to take their ballet class at night, and it said, you can't come in. And in that heartbeat, there was no more professional ballet in the city. So that was a tough blow after almost 40 years of an organization. Out of that, then, hundreds and hundreds of orphans went looking for ballet schools. A lot of other individuals decided to start their own ballet schools. And all started these ballet schools with the premise that they would eventually be a professional ballet company. Well, that was noble. And then there was another organization that was simply going to be a professional ballet company, and it ran for about 10 years, did a gala every fall. But nothing was really happening. And our founder, Victoria Lyris, let me just ask a quick pause. So are you familiar with the ballet name George Balanchine? Anybody familiar with Mr. Balanchine's name? We got some heads. So he is donned as the father of American ballet. He started New York City Ballet, gorgeous, one of the top world-class companies in the United States, but he also invented his own school and curriculum. So there's a Balanchine technique. And our founder grew up in that school of ballet in New York, Victoria Lyris. So she was around greatness as a child. Eventually became a principal dancer with Pennsylvania Ballet, which also was what they call a Balanchine company. A lot of repertoire of Mr. Balanchine. So all these schools are going along, and I'm still, this is all on my topic. So they're putting on productions, and of course they're seeking the other half of this model called contributed income. So they're knocking on all these funders around the city, and there may be 5 of these. So these funders are hearing the same story from 5 organizations, basically schools who will one day become a professional ballet company. So it was a real conundrum for these funders to go, well, who do we decide on? So they decided on nobody for a while. And then little by little, does anybody remember Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland? Sure. So a lot of their movies, it was let's put on a show, and Mickey and Judy would get some crates and boxes and curtains, and all of a sudden there'd be a show. So most people get excited about starting an arts organization. It's a thrilling thing. Then there's the reality of the business of show business. And that sustainability many times collapses those dreams. So that's what happened to almost every one of these schools. Well, here's little Victoria Lyris, and she calls herself Little Vicky, 5'2". She's a powerhouse. She's a powerhouse, is she not? Yes. Okay. So she's just motoring, but what people don't understand is, in that little powerhouse, again, she wasn't just around really good ballet dancers or wonderful ballet dancers. She was around greatness. And all of that is inside her. So she has an eye for talent that's unbelievable. She was growing her school of ballet based in the Balanchine technique. And then, when the timing was right, she had a core of supporters, real strong supporters, who believed in her. Some of you may remember the late Michael O'Brien. He was co-owner of Printing Partners, and he was her chair. And then unfortunately he became very ill and passed away. But right before he passed away, they were going to be hiring an executive director. They launched this professional company in 2018, and as I mentioned at the table, 18 months later, there was the pandemic. So you talk about an interruption in progress, but the company sustained itself. We were in residence at the Toby Theater out at Newfields, and they'd go out there in the silence, fully masked, and film performances. And so they put those out on the internet just to keep people engaged. They did have to lay the dancers off. I believe it was for 6 months only, but they wanted them to keep going. I mean, a dancer's life kind of like dog life. So you know, it's like an athlete. Somewhere in your late 30s, you're probably going to change careers. So a year is like you've lost 3 years, plus of course staying physical. So they were brought back, and instead of one studio, they divided up into 3 of our studios so they could be social distancing, just to be able to keep them in shape. Our board of directors elected for those dancers who were on our health insurance program to pay for all their health insurance through the pandemic, so they could at least collect unemployment, survive, and they didn't have to worry about their insurance. So the company's moving along, and then for myself, after 13 and a half years, I was ready to transition out of the Indianapolis Children's Choir. Had a great time, and I loved going. Wasn't really my art, which was a really good thing, because the founder didn't have to worry about me, kind of encroaching in his. I said, Henry, this is in 21st year. If you don't have this art, this art form down after 21 years, which of course he did, I said, I'm here to support you. My wife and I directed a ballet company down south, and I wore the hat of CEO and artistic director, so I knew from an executive director's point of view what my artistic director would want, and I'm there to give that for them. So, so along came the opportunity to come on board, and interviewed with the board and became their first executive director. So they were just coming out of the pandemic, and my first, it'll be 2 years this April, at Toby, we were fully masked, the audience masked, the dancers masked, but we were live. And there was only allowed 30% in that hall. And those 30% people, when that curtain went up and there was a human being in front of them, you would have thought it was a full house. It was just thrilling. So the company is moving, and here's the funny thing. Even today, so we're 2023, there are still funders who supported the ballet so strongly and felt a little disappointed that this one company somehow just couldn't fix whatever was the problem and went away. So along comes Victoria, Michael O'Brien, and all these people, and there are still, even now, still funders who are squeamish about funding ballet, even though this company it's not apples and oranges, just a totally different business. So we have gained, I mean, people certainly have come on board. We still got a few that we're working through, and it's really amazing how that stigma can stay around just that concept. But we're working forward, and the dancers are absolutely gorgeous. I invite you all. We have 2 more season events coming up, the full-length Sleeping Beauty, and we say that with that excitement because right before the pandemic they were going to do the full-length Sleeping Beauty. Didn't happen, and they kept trying to make it happen, and when I came, they did a 1-hour version called the Sleeping Beauty Suite. So it was just a 1 hour, one of the acts. Well, now all 3 acts are coming, and it's just a gorgeous ballet. Our closer, which features Midsummer Night Dream, also has 2 other ballets. So if a full-length ballet is not what you think is your cup of tea, and I'm sure it would be, but if it's not, our closer in June has Midsummer Night. It has a pas de deux, a dance for 2 from the George Balanchine Trust. There's a trust, believe it or not, that houses all of Mr. Balanchine's ballets, and you have to be blessed to be able to perform these ballets. So we get many of them because Vicki danced these ballets. And what's kind of a funny sidebar, several of Vicki's girlfriends who studied when she was a kid in the late 70s, they run this trust now. so they're all friends, and so it's really a great thing. And then they're closing with a beautiful work called Bolero, and it's just a dynamic piece, and you would enjoy it. But the company's running strong. Our dancers are back full-time. It's kind of like the symphony, so we're sort of like the IRT and the symphony of the ballet world. And the profile artistically of this company is now stellar. So it's our job to get out there and to make sure that revenue's coming in, and we're above the ground. In fact, we are way above the ground. And of course, the wonderful thing that shows the support that's coming back is our ticket sales. Our ticket sales have just, since I've been here, just been climbing and climbing and climbing. And in this year's budget, there's a couple features. So our Nutcracker is performed at the Murat. And this past weekend that we performed in December, we had 4 performances. We pushed the budget because we did very well the year before. Still not pre-pandemic, but very well. We went over budget expectations. So I raised that goal $50,000, and not only did we meet that, we surpassed that by another $100,000. So that's ticket sales. Well, that means that people are now wanting this, and soon no one's going to remember anything from the past. I guarantee you. That's my mission. But what was so wonderful, the people at the Murat, they had to dust off a sold-out sign because they just hadn't had one for years. And I was so happy that they put it up there. So they put it up there the Saturday matinee, and by Sunday matinee, there was another sellout. So the Mira, you know, they get a cut of everything, so they're, you know, Ticketmaster and everybody. So we were making them money, but we were also, of course, making ourselves money and increasing the number of people by thousands and thousands that we just hadn't anticipated. So that was a signal, you know, and our February concert, that exceeded 2019, so we now are surpassing pre-COVID sales. Sleeping Beauty is almost half sold out now, and we've hardly even done the push for that. So we're really thrilled, but that really does send a message that people want it, and there were wonderful crowds when the former ballet companies existed. So we're getting back there. But that's what's below. Below the ground means you still had to convince, and we're still working on a few funders. Luckily, we have some just wonderful, one of our most pronounced funders is the Allen Whitehill Clues Charitable Foundation, whose core mission is about the arts. So they're sticking to their guns and they support a lot, of course, a lot. So they are our advocate now. They're talking behind the scenes to some of these foundations that are a little squeamish, and then we're pressing forward. So it's a great organization. I know that Roger said that we're going to kick back for an hour and a half, but originally I was told I was only supposed to speak 20 minutes or so, but which is why I'm going to pause right now. So let me just pause there, because if you have any questions, I'd rather also just talk in this group and just answer any questions you might have, or speculation, or yes.
So you've got the professional ballet. Is there also a school for children?
Yes. So backing up to 2006, that's when Victoria Lyris founded her school, the Indianapolis School of Ballet. So again, she was like one of 5 schools that they birthed up. And the one reason her philosophy came from the philosophy of George Balanchine. So Mr. Balanchine's famous quote is, "First a school." Well, for him it was important, really important, because he was also developing a Balanchine technique. So to create then the dancers that he wanted for his style of choreography. So yes, and we still, the school is going strong. And now, like everybody, not only did, patrons during the COVID, they lost students during COVID. And so those numbers are almost back up. But very committed to, the school is just right in the same building over here in Capitol, Michigan. And this is a downtown organization. So these kids come from everywhere around us. In the summer, the kids come from all over the United States. We have a professional summer intensive program. And so they're housed here, and luckily there's a lot of apartments right around us on those corners, and Kroger you can shop. So they come in from around the world, and then we encourage our advanced dancers to go out and explore the world. So a lot of those teenagers go out into other professional programs, and you gain, it's like anything, you gain from another perspective, and then they come back home. Yeah.
Do you have a relationship with Butler as far as its ballet or anything of that nature?
We do. In fact, just this past performance, one of the Butler professors, his name is Ramon Flowers, he choreographed one of the works for the professional company, and he's choreographed at least 2 others. So we're very strongly supported, because in fact this year in our apprentice program we had at least 3. Yeah, so they love it because they can encourage those dancers that want to be a performer. Hey, you can still stay here and knock on Indianapolis Ballet door, no guarantee, but they can maybe start their career with us as an apprentice, maybe come into our company, but also maybe what the style of ballet they want, it's a launching pad. So yeah, we have a really good relationship with the dance program at Butler, and almost all the faculty was at our last program because they want their dancers to get inspired. And then our marketing manager coordinates a lot of volunteers. So at Butler there's a huge arts administrative program And so those kids volunteer to be our ushers. And then they're around this beautiful art form and the beautiful Newfields. Yeah. Anything else? Spark, yeah. Jay,
I noticed these programs run 3 days.
Typically 3 days.
Is there one performance each day?
One and sometimes two. So for Sleeping Beauty, there's a Friday evening, a matinee evening, Saturday, and a matinee.
So what's the thinking about why that's just 3 days?
Well, the thinking is, until we build the capacity of more audience,
Okay.
no, it's really what we can, plus what we can afford.
So that is flexible once you get the crowd coming
If we can
back.
power up, in fact, before we even knew we were gonna sell out, I was talking to the lady at the Murat, and I said, hey, hypothetically, I said, what if we went to 2 weekends? She looked at me like, well, some of the ballet companies I danced in, Cincinnati Ballet for one, we did 31 Nutcrackers. So we were kind of like the Yuletide.
Okay.
You know, here, I mean, we started close to Thanksgiving and we did a New Year's Eve performance. When I danced at a company in New Jersey, it was the same thing. We were up and down the Jersey coast. That was 28 Nutcrackers. So we're doing 4. So I think we'll grow. I just know we will. The ballet company my wife and I directed down south started with 3 and ended with 7. So, but after this, let me just say this. So there was this little negotiation because they have some holiday programs, and Straight No Chaser comes in almost every year. Well, now they're willing to say to these other ones, you know, we may be looking at another Nutcracker. Can we fit some of your dates around December so that we are now almost the chosen of dates, where before we had to take what they were giving us. It's a great position to be in. But you know, when you're bringing people, so that's really why.
Okay.
Yeah, and repertory nights, as you know, Nutcracker is an anomaly. It just is a whole another animal in the ballet world. So the concert series wouldn't fill a Murat. You know, so you want a house. The Toby's about 530 seats.
Okay.
It's a really nice, and it's a great stage. As I mentioned to Roger, it used to be the home of the Civic Theater for probably 30 more years. So it's a legit theater in that space. Yep. Anything else? Yep, sure.
I thought you mentioned that the June performance was Bolero, and the card we have here says Midsummer Night's
It's
Dream.
Midsummer Night's Dream is the featured.
Oh, okay.
And then there are 2 other ballets on that program.
Okay.
One is, again, a George Balanchine pas de deux, and then Bolero. And Bolero just knocks the socket. It'll close, and we did it 2 years ago or a year ago.
Last year.
Yeah, and it just, people wanted it back the next day. I mean, it's really a strong piece, kind of contemporary. Yeah. So we're here. Indianapolis Ballet is here. We're going strong. We're going forward. Had to get from below the ground and out, and now we're sailing forward. So it's exciting. You know, the work is never boring. Now, Julia's a runner, but she didn't know that she's also going to be running in her day job. So, you know, the arts we just click. We just, you know, and I've had a great run. I'm glad that I'm with the ballet. It's, again, like coming home, and no one has to explain the mission to me, the why of why you're doing it. And I say this a lot, Julia picks up on. When I was directing this other ballet company 25 years ago, I was also artistic director, and I choreographed and all that. So, and that was fun. But a really thrill, and it's that way today. At the end of a season, you have contract talks, just like, you know, the only thing we don't do, like the Pacers and the Colts, we don't trade. But we do have contract talks because, you know, sometimes a dancer wants to move on, or sometimes it's just not working for us. They're good dancers, but they need to find a different kind of company. So, but what I really love is giving a dancer work. I mean, a dancer studies for almost a decade before they have the strength and the technique, and especially the ladies on point. And then their career is short. So to be employed and dance it's a thrill like no other if you're, you know, a ballet dancer. So to give them work and give them a contract, it just, you know, and it keeps you going. It's, okay, yeah, there's payroll, and oh my God, how are we gonna make it? We'll make it. And you have that drive because of the dancers. Yeah. Yes, sir.
What are the prices of tickets?
So our ticket range hasn't changed in 2 years, and it's not gonna change for next year. So our repertory range is around in the 35 to 45 a range for tickets. Nutcracker ranges, we go back a little, we go down to maybe 25, up to 85. We have a circle, but the range, even for Nutcracker, is more in the 40s to 60. So, but, you know, because we want to make it as accessible as we can. If someone wants a $25 ticket, we got the room, we got 2,500 seats so that was 2,500 sold out seats twice, by the way, this past
Buy
year.
early.
Huh?
Buy early.
Buy early, exactly right. And we're gonna try to let all those people who came last year, remind them and maybe give them an incentive too, to keep going. Because I want a second weekend of Nutcracker just in our city, let alone touring. So, you know, we're thinking forward. And was it you that raised your hand about taking lessons? I thought it was you. We do have adult ballet, by the way.
You don't want to see me do that.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Well, you're probably right. I wouldn't want to see you do it, but I'd love you to do it. Yeah, yeah.
One of the big sponsors, an orthopedic group, so maybe that's.
Yes, Forte is our physical therapist group. Forte, and they're just wonderful. If you haven't been to the new facility, it's over the top up there. But they're a wonderful supporter of ours. And just sidebar, just like athletes, so they come in once a week. They come in once a week. The table's out, the dancers are on them, cracking, getting, you know, whatever it takes. They got something just so they're not dancing on an injury. And then at every performance, be like game day, Forte isn't backstage. And if something would happen, they're right away there to help them, whether to get them back, you know, on stage, or, you know, if there's an injury that takes them out, well, they're there to help them and, you know, get them to the hospital or whatever it takes. So it's, but again, I truly, I invite all of you to come. You know what we should do, Julia? We should create a Kiwanis discount.
Yep, well, we can do it.
That if they go online, there's a special, I know we can do it, right? Yeah, so we'll make a special code for Kiwanis.
Oh, thank you.
Even those that didn't come in person. So you can send it out to your Kiwanis, we'll have a code, and it'll be designated for you to receive a discount for tickets. Okay? We'll make that happen. Yeah.
Two questions. So will we get as nice a discount as Rotary does?
Be careful how you answer that.
Well, being the immediate past president of Rotary, which I was proud to serve, I'll take that under advisement. By the way, in the 110 years of that club, yours truly was the first arts executive to lead that club, and I was proud to do so. So we'll close with this. When I talked about you know, Nutcracker and making it accessible, I do want one other thing about this organization. We do make ballet, and especially in the school and in the performances, accessible to as many people as possible. And on the Thursday nights, which is our final dress, we actually have it, and it's labeled Community Night. And we bring in complimentary, whether it's seniors who have trouble getting out, well, they're going to get out. Whether it's kids, families from community centers or other, and they come to see a ballet that they will never see. And it's hundreds and hundreds. And now we've just partnered with the Children's Museum with a program that's called an Access Pass. And this, you have to actually make an application, almost like food stamps. So we're talking people who definitely are not going to go see the ballet. They have to fill out a form to apply, and again, it's hundreds, and then they can come. So we're part of that just this year. So those individuals are involved to see our repertory nights, as well as we had almost 1,000 at Nutcracker Community Night.
Awesome.
And before that, they might have had 100 or so. So we put some pedal to the metal with our outreach. We have Indy Ballet classrooms that goes into schools for daytime and after school. We can even supply ballet as their gym class for the day, which we do. So it's great to get out there. And then finally, you know, on the topic of DEI, several years ago we partnered with a company now. There's a company that will actually create tights to the skin tone of a child. And so, you know, instead of just this beautiful pink, it's just a different look, and it makes them feel like themselves. Now, what's interesting, you know, the ballet has this aura. There still are some of our wonderful kids of color. I want the pink tights. They just, you know, if you want them, we'll have them. But we can also design the shoes that way. And a lot of that came from the wonderful work of a very famous ballerina named Misty Copeland, a black ballerina who's principal dancer. And absolutely gorgeous. And so she really spearheaded a lot of movements about things that we just wouldn't know how a child of color is feeling growing up. So anyways, we're there for everybody. Indianapolis Ballet, that's all.
On behalf of the entire Kiwanis Club of Indianapolis, Donna, we appreciate you being here.
Sure.
Appreciate all you're doing for the arts. I'm an arts type of guy, I love it. Put them back in school.
Yeah.
We've got a donation. Stay here.
Oh, yes, sir.
Where are you going?
You know, to Rotary.
You let me ask. I told you I had 2 questions. After my first one, you didn't let me ask the second one.
That was a reason.
You're scared?
Yeah. You've never been with my stand-up comedy, have you?
No.
Yeah, be careful, Gracie.
You've never been with me on stage, have you? Donation will be made in your honor to the Center for Leadership Development, which fosters the advancement of minority youth as future professional, business, and community leaders by providing experiences that encourage personal development and educational attainment.
Perfect,
And
perfect.
we thank you very much
Well, thank you
for
for that.
joining us today.
I love it. Great
All you
organization.
do and all you do at Rotary.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. I think that concludes our evening, so again, ring the bell, get ready for